Today's block on Scrapshot sampler is known as the nosegay block. This is one of the blocks in quilting that's a little bit difficult because you have these fun Y seams that come together, which make it a little bit more difficult. So there's more pieces to this particular block in our sampler quilt as well, but it's easier to put it together. You're going to have your direction sheet that has the diagram and your templates are marked on there. I've also made you a template sheet. You can compare those two. Make sure when you're printing this out of your printer that this equals 6.5 inches when it prints out. I actually think it's probably most accurate if you cut this apart to create your templates, but you do have a template page as well. And then I made a diagram that shows where all the template alpha would go on your block. I find that printing this one out onto freezer paper might be the best for you to do because you can iron the freezer paper to your wool. If you're not familiar with it, C&T, and there may be other companies out there as well, make freezer paper sheets that will run through your printer. So that works out quite nicely. You do not have to transfer those. And then you can cut your template apart. So you've got that cut apart, and then press your templates to your wool. You can use the same template multiple times. It will press repeatedly. It can either be cut with the scissors or you can use a rotary cutter and your ruler. That's what I prefer to do, but whatever is easiest for you, whatever tools you have handy, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And you can take your freezer paper off of the wool and use it over and over again. Looks like my wool's not quite big enough to press that down. Another neat trick that I learned back in our quilt shop days was that you could actually take freezer paper, iron it together over and over again. And the more layers that you iron together, the thicker this becomes. So if you iron multiple layers together, you actually can create a template that you can trace around. So I think about that often when I'm working with freezer paper, that that's something I wouldn't have known if it had not been shared with me. So you're going to position your pieces onto your background. Remember that your background is cut an inch bigger than what it finishes. Draw a 1/2 inch around all edges so that you have the 6.5 inches in the inside. You are going to want to make sure that you've got this linear. This is an easy block to kind of get kittywampus. You want to make sure that you have lines. So if you want to quarter your fabric or your background, draw a line in there so that you know that you're working with 4 equal quadrants. That's going to help you to achieve perfection if you are a perfectionist. I'm not, so I'm not so worried about that, but I know as I put this together that mine was a little bit kittywampus, so that's something that I want to point out to you that you may want to pay attention to. This is actually done out of flannel. I liked the idea of using blacks, grays, and creams. This is a charm pack that I intend to make blocks into another sampler quilt. And I think I'm going to piece it by or do the applique on here by machine rather than by hand, so that it goes together quicker for me. And I have fused my pieces in place. So you'll just need to fudge with your pieces. If you're cutting that template apart, it should go back together like it's supposed to. I also want to share with you that I have a tool that I like to use. It's called the sticky roller. Not sure how to show this so that you're getting it the right way, but sticky roller, stickyroller.com. I believe she has a website, Kathy does, and these are just great for wool applique. I have a couple of dogs, and so my wool sometimes ends up with dog hair, my own hair, thread from the shop, and if you just roll over that like you do a lint roller, all of that disappears. The nice thing about the sticky roller is that you just swish this in warm water with Dawn dish soap and this will clean off again, and it remains just as sticky as it was when they're brand new. The roller comes with a lifetime guarantee, so if the roller gets bad, you just contact Kathy and she will send you a replacement roller. So I believe that that's it for today. I do want to touch a question that's been asked about the outer edges of your blocks. Leave those on stitch so that when you put your next block next to it, you can stitch those edges at that time. If you wish, you could put the bottom section of your sampler together. At this point, I waited until my whole sampler was done before I put mine together. But again, depending on how you are, sometimes it's fun to see the progress, see it put together. So if you want to put it together at this time, you'll be able to do that bottom section that we refer to as period number 1. Period number 2 will be a little bit bigger than what our first period was, and then the third period will go a little bit quicker again for you. So we're hoping that you're enjoying this as you're stitching along. If you haven't joined the Facebook group and are having issues with that, please let us know. It's a fun way to see what other people are doing with their blocks, ask questions, share tips, that kind of thing. So good luck with the nosegay block, and we will talk with you later.